all of LGBT. All right, well, good, still morning?
It is.
Still morning.
Good morning, everybody. We will call this meeting to order.
Hey.
All right. So the meeting of the Texas State Technical College Board of Regents is called to order this Thursday, November 13th, 2025 at 11:18 a.m. Jonathan, can you please lead us in the invocation?
Yes, my pleasure. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, what a beautiful fall morning. Your creation is truly magnificent. It reminds us of the changing seasons of life and your steadfastness through all of them. Last night we celebrated our Regent, Keith Honey, who has also been steadfast through many seasons. And what a joy it was to honor him. Thank you for his presence and his impact on TSTC and on all of us. In this season of harvest, Lord, we give thanks for a rich bounty, the fruits of our labor and your blessing, which we acknowledge and humbly prepare to receive. Specifically, God, thank you for the successful passage of Proposition 1. Indeed, this is an answer to many of our prayers. Lord, we are grateful for the people gathered today, whether in person or virtually. Thank you for the acts of service required to bring this meeting together. As we do our work, please allow our words to be clear and grant this board wisdom as they consider the business before them. We lift up our teammates and loved ones who are sick or struggling and cannot be here today. Keep us safe as we travel back home. We ask this in your name, for your glory, in honor of your purposes, and according to your will. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jonathan. So now we will determine a quorum. I'll call your name and request that you indicate your presence. Rob Misso.
Present.
Keith Honey.
Present.
Eric Beckman is absent. Kathy Stewart.
Present.
Tiffany Tremont, who's joining virtually. Ron Rohrbacher, who is joining virtually.
Present.
Lizzie Delagarza Putnett, who is joining virtually. Curtis Cleveland is absent, and myself, Ron Whittup. We have a quorum.
All right.
You know, what a great night last night. The man,
Yeah.
the myth, the legend. Mr. Honey. So yeah, that was awesome. And the food was fantastic. So
It
thank
was.
you
Yes.
to everybody that put that together, which it's probably a lot of us in the room here. Great food, great celebration. It was really good. So really appreciate all that you guys did here. And what a great campus. Last time we were saying earlier, we came by and it was a mud hole over there where there's now a shiny
Beautiful
new building with cool graphics on the side. So that's really neat. So really appreciate all that y'all did, and what a cool
This is neat.
gift here, and that's really neat. So appreciate that as well. So we're excited about TSTC and where we're at, where we're going, and lots of good things to talk about. It's always good when you have good things to talk about, and there's always a few challenges, but we're talking about more good than we are bad these days for sure, which is a great place to be. And so in that, we have our agenda that has these items we're going to talk about. And Regents, you should have received an amended agenda, because what happens in the student learning, we had one that was a draft, so that's been fixed, and so that it's the same agenda but just slightly amended. Well, maybe it's not the same; it's just slightly amended. Is there any discussion about the agenda you have before you? Nope. So all those in favor of adopting the menu? That dinner was so good last night.
As long as it's steak.
Had the bite?
Yeah, it was
I
very
love
good.
that. And all the honey theme too.
Oh, yes, all the honey
theme.
throughout.
Yeah.
Honey
That's
throughout.
great.
There we go. Okay, all those in favor of adopting the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. There we go. Next, we'll look at approving the minutes for the August meetings. You have those in your materials. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Keith. Rob, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Public comments. We've reached the public comment section of our meeting. Procedures for public comments at TSTC board meetings are governed by the Texas statute and bylaws of the Board of Regents of Texas State Technical College. These laws allow for comments from the public on any item contained on the publicly posted agenda before the item is considered by this governing body. This will be the only time during the meeting set aside for public comment. Section 551.042 of the Texas Open Meeting Act restricts the TSTC Board of Regents dialogue in response to public comments. Are there any public comments? All right, hearing none, the public comment period is concluded. Chancellor,
Mr.
we didn't hear
Chairman,
from the public. Got anything from you?
my comments should be uncharacteristically brief. The first is an enduring notion, if I could. You know, the fact that we have 11 campuses, locations across the state and a 12th authorized brings us challenges and opportunities. Some of those challenges are ensuring that we are always aligned toward the important core things that we as an enterprise need to accomplish. And so I wanted to remind you all of things that we have seen before. That strategic plan that we looked at back in August will happen if we can execute. And we can execute if we remain aligned. So I ask for our 6 critical questions to go up here for your review one more time so that you can see how it is across our enterprise. The employees have a constant reminder, all the teammates have a constant reminder of, now, what are we here for again? And what you'll see is the very first one is the critical question, why? Why do we exist? And you can see the answer there. And what it has to do with is creating prosperity in the Texas economy. And then the how. The how has to do with what guides our behavior. What are the core principles that guide us when the rules run out of leg? What is it that we abide to when no one's looking? These are our values. And then what do we do to achieve the why? And of course, you've seen this forever. We place more Texans in great paying jobs. The how will we succeed? These are thematic goals that bridge over the various strategies that we have. Another way to look at them, and we've shown them to you this way in the past, these are sustainable and they're competitive advantages. They set us aside in the marketplace. And that is, we're going to be different, not for contrarianism. We're going to be different because it makes us better. That there is a better way to do our business. And it has to be a way that the client and the customer can see and is alluring, is attractive, is compelling. It has to draw them in. They have to see it in a way that's like, oh, that's cool. We have to naturally be best in class. There must be no question that what we do is better than all the others. And when I say all the others, I'm talking about public community colleges, private trainers, whoever it is that does what we do. And then, and this is really key, in the higher ed sector, being responsive to employers is a true competitive advantage because the nature of higher ed is to be inward looking and to consider scholarship as the most important endeavor and not responsiveness to the marketplace. So these are our competitive advantages. And then every team must always know this. What's the most important thing we can do right now? And the answer is one word. We have to grow. That prosperous impact that we strive for, Texas desperately needs it right now. or it's going to run out of talent in a limiting manner. And then finally, what was everybody has to do their part. Everybody has to continue to grow. Everybody has to aspire constantly from an individual standpoint and as a member of a team. And so I wanted to put those up there and let you know, these are becoming ever more ubiquitous across our state. You'll go to various campuses and you'll see this in various, if you walk back out into what used to be the library over here, you'll find the number 4 is on a giant poster right over there on the wall. These are the things that we use as a constant reminder to get alignment that results in execution. So that's the first half of my comments. Any questions on that? Okay, the next one is that here we are at year end. So the theme of this meeting is gonna be some backward looking. You'll hear some presentations, particularly from Cledia and from Michael, who will talk about some of our main product lines and the year that we had. And then you'll hear a bit of talk about the future too. Which will build on the strategic planning part that we did back in August. So with that, I conclude my comments. That was brief, wasn't it?
And I'll attest, when we had the accreditation audit, that was an underpinning of that entire audit was those 6 critical questions. So I saw it firsthand that is in the daily DNA of TSTC. So appreciate that. That's a good thing. Alrighty. So next we'll go to committee reports and minute orders, and we'll begin that section of the agenda. First up, we have the Committee for Student Learning and Student Development. I'll call upon Regent Lizzie De La Garza Putnett for that report.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay, good. So the Student Learning and Student Development Committee met virtually Monday, November 10th. Jonathan and members of his team took me and Regent Rohrbacher through relevant topics this quarter, including audit and management essential conditions, partnership work with external relations and marketing, the endowment, our accreditors, campus updates, a representative faculty group, and as always, our action item listed in your books. There was a lot to cover and so much to celebrate. We appreciate the thoroughness of our time together, and though they are not here today, there were 2 members of the team that joined our committee I'd like to acknowledge. First, congratulations to Dr. Gina Cano Monreal on her new role as Provost of the Harlingen campus. Thank you for your service to TSCC and your leadership in the Rio Grande Valley. I will say, being in Harlingen, she has hit the ground running. I see her out and about, and she has done a phenomenal job. Leading up to Prop 1 or election night, I saw her at different meetings, educating and informing the community about the importance of it and about TSTC and how we are compellingly different. So she has done an amazing job in the short time as provost. I just wanted to share that with you all. And I also wanted to extend gratitude to Brian Bowling, provost of the Fort Bend County campus, for his service at TSCC and leadership in the Southwest Houston region. Both of these provosts joined our committee meeting to further discuss the competitive selection process for the associate provost roles on their respective campuses. Senate Bill 37 requires board approval of this role, and the work these teams did to discern the next level of leadership in these regions is commendable. Thank you both for demonstrating our values and preparing us for today's action item. Regarding our action items, there are 3-minute orders being proposed to the board today. I'll ask Jonathan to present these to the board. Jonathan, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate both you, Lizzie, and Ron, your time earlier this week. And we did indeed have a robust conversation about where we're at, looking back at some of our updates in August and some of those that endured, like Senate Bill 37 and some of the work that's happening in Harlingen. So I really appreciate that we have those opportunities to have those working committee meetings and really dive deep where we feel like that's appropriate. Real brief agenda today, and so 3 action items. The first asks for you to rescind a minute order from the past. way back from 1992, a policy for a graduate guarantee. And so this actually wasn't a TSTC invented idea. This was the coordinating board. They actually had in their policies and procedures this graduate guarantee feature. And so we implemented this way back then to comply with that. And as we were doing all of our accreditation work this last year, we encountered this again and said, are we doing what we need to be doing on this? And we went back to the law and the rules and regulations, and we realized, oh, the co-board kind of wiped this one out. And so it's really not a compliance area for us anymore. And so it's appropriate for us to go ahead and rescind this. And I'd say TSDC's actually leveled up on this, probably 1 or 2 phases. We have our own money back guarantee, which I think is has a lot more teeth in terms of our accountability to students and employers. So I might have questioned this if I saw it and didn't have all the context, but I think it's probably appropriate to rescind it at this point. The second is related to compliance as well. So that's Minute Order SL 1225C on page 3 of your book. And this is around the contract compliance that we're required to seek your approval once contracts hit a certain threshold. This is the All-Tex welding supply, and this is our largest program using the largest amount of consumables statewide, and we continue to extend this contract, and as we do so, the scope of the contract continues to grow, and it's reached a threshold, or it's about to reach a threshold, where we need your approval to continue to engage with this All-Tex welding supply. So we would respectfully request your approval on that one. And then the last minute order is 1325C, page 4. And this is the one that we just handed you a new document. So this was pretty dynamic during the preparation of these materials. We've been doing a lot of work in Harlingen, really kind of giving ourselves a new way forward in terms of campus leadership there, and really have had some successes with the project team on the ground, really coming around and supporting that team. But one of the objectives that they had was to assess what they needed from a leadership perspective and begin onboarding some more permanent leadership. And so they've gone through a process and have done that. But with Senate Bill 37, those positions that they need to hire are leaders of faculty. They're associate provosts, and they're specifically cited in that law. So this is a new piece of action for our Board of Regents, and so we're love your feedback if we feel like we're comfortable with the way we're proceeding. But we did get to go through those processes with the working committee, and we do have several folks that we'd like to put in front of you. So we have 2 associate provosts in Harlingen, and actually we had 1 in Fort Bend. We've actually added an associate provost role there as that campus continues to grow and expand in some complexity. And so we would, and so do I have the latest document? Can I see that? Thank you so much. No, I should have had that. So Brandon Foster is the Associate Provost for Fort Bend County, and so we respectfully request you approve that. J.J. Vavra is the Associate Provost in Harlingen we would like to appoint, and Ronnie Pitts is also for Harlingen. All 3 of these gentlemen did participate in broad searches, and their candidacy was considered next to external and internal candidates. All 3 of these are insiders. They've all been faculty historically. They've all been in leadership, and we're really encouraged that we were able to get the kind of caliber talent that we're putting in front of you. So I would love if y'all would approve this, and I think the campuses will be excited about the way forward. And that concludes my action items. I'm really looking forward to seeing my partners present. I think y'all are in store for some good stuff. We'll be ready to present from an operations perspective come February. So we're looking forward to sharing the good news from
the operations function. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Mr. Chairman, if there are no other questions, or are there any questions?
Nope, we're good?
Okay, if there are no other questions, that concludes our report.
Thank you, Lizzie. I now call on Rob Misso, Chair of the Fiscal Affairs Committee.
Well, thank you, Chairman Wood. The Fiscal Affairs Committee met virtually on Tuesday, November 4th to discuss minute orders and reports in front of you. As Chad steps up, the committee has 1 minute order to consider and 7 reports in your materials for the board to hear. So thank you, Chad, for supporting us.
You bet. Thanks, Rob. Late breaking news yesterday, the government shutdown is over.
Yes, it was 10:15 last night.
Yeah,
Eastern
so
time.
we were watching that. We didn't see any major impacts. Had it gone on further, I think we would have seen some, but that's good news. So we do have 1 minute order, 7 reports. They are all routine. They're not all quarterly, but they are routine. So the minute order we have happens once a year. Per the Public Funds Investment Act, the Board of Regents has to approve the investment policy each year and the authorized list of brokers. We have the policy in the notebook as well as the list. We are not proposing any changes this year. We made a few minor changes last year, but where we're at now, I think we're in good shape. So the minute order again says the Board of Regents has reviewed and approves the policy for investments, which includes the review and approval of the policy itself, as well as the review and approval of the list of qualified brokers. Then moving on to the reports, page 21 is our quarterly investment report. This meeting, we're reporting on August 31st, 2025, which was the end of the fiscal year. So this is a true year-to-year look. You'll see our operating cash total went down about $3 million. We'll talk in the budget report. We did plan to use some reserves in fiscal year 25 as we grew. So the other notable point is that we dispersed over $140 million of capital funds in fiscal year 25. That is a ton of contracts, a ton of invoices, a ton of payments, a ton of work. But we plowed through a lot of it, and we're still going strong. So we will continue to see those bond proceeds go down. The second page just lists the few endowment CDs that we have. Our interest rates, our performance has been pretty well. The Fed did cut rates in September and October. I know the shutdown muddled some of the data, so we'll see how that plays out. But our performance is well within the benchmark. And then on page 23, you will see our cash reserves over time. Again, we did invest reserves in fiscal year 25 as we prepare to open the CCAP buildings, but we are budgeting about a $3 million reinvestment this fiscal year. So you can see over time how basically the second year of the biennium, there's a dip. Any questions on the investment report? Next is the pledged collateral report, and I'm happy to report we did not have any collateral busts. A third report on page 25 is a semi-annual debt management report. We report to the board twice a year about our debt service for the fiscal year. So you'll see for fiscal year 26, our total debt service is $41.6 million. And roughly just over half of that is paid for by line item appropriations, what we would call CCAP bonds mostly. Page 27 lists the principal balances on all of the outstanding debt. We did add Series 2024 bonds, is our most recent addition when we acquired some land. And actually, the very top line there, the constitutional appropriation bonds from Series 2016, those were paid off in full last month.
Awesome.
And as we stand today, we don't see any imminent bond issuances coming up in the very near future. I'm sure as we solidify our capital plans, we will look to debt finance some things, but we don't have any firm plans at this time. Finally, on page 28, our bond ratings have not changed. We did get an update from Fitch in October. They did a review and left the ratings where they are. We could see some movement in our bond ratings based on the passage of the endowment. That guaranteed constitutional income revenue could affect that. So we're going to be talking with them in the weeks and months ahead. Page 29 is a report that simply states that the investment officers of the college received the required Biennial Investment Act training. Jason actually caught us on this one. We didn't have it last session, but we took the training last session. We just didn't provide the report. So now I'm happy to say we took the training and are providing the report.
Very good, very good.
Page 30 is the budget performance report. Again, this is for the full fiscal year ending 8/31/25. We start at the bottom usually, so we had budgeted to spend $7 million of reserves. We actually ended up only spending $5 million. So that's where you see that $2 million difference there at the bottom. High points really in terms of revenue, we achieved 99.3% of our budgeted tuition revenue, and that budget was 9 to 10% over the prior year. So that was a big success. And further in 2026, you'll see our budget for tuition revenue goes up another $7 million, which is a big percentage increase. But as of the fall, we've actually hit that target for the fall semester. We still have to watch the spring and the summer, but it's still performing. In terms of expenses, we did keep things pretty tight. We kind of reallocated some budget through the year to make sure that we did not go over that $7 million reserves number. And so when it all settled out, we did a little better than we had expected for the year. And of course, the most important page is page 31, the notes. Right.
I agree.
Two more. Page 32 is the quarterly lease report. These are sort of, you call smaller leases that the board delegated authority on, and so we report each meeting about the use of that delegation. Just a couple of classrooms, one in Sweetwater and one in North Texas that we are leasing. And finally, the quarterly report for contracts greater than $1 million. The big addition this quarter was getting the Hutto CCAP building under contract with Spallglass. That is the general contractor for the construction of that building. Any questions on a lot of reports?
I just have, the operating, the one I always go to is the operating budget performance. That's a great report. The format's great. Really appreciate how you guys do that and the clarity of the notes. And it really paints the picture. And so keep doing it.
Yeah, we will.
It's really good.
There's actually a lot more columns, but to break it down into one column.
Yeah, no, this is perfect. Perfect. Yeah. And that note too is that 10% revenue growth, that was a big deal, and to hit it, you know, like we did, fantastic news.
Yeah, it's an aggressive target, but we're doing it.
Yeah.
So
So next year we'll just make it 12.
I'll leave Michael.
Michael?
Yeah.
They'll
We got
be
12,
up
don't
to
we?
Michael, right? So,
That's what they do to us. But no, great report.
It's funny, 12% is exactly what I was thinking. I mean, you almost, we were like completely aligned.
There you
No,
go.
but what's really pretty awesome is, the rest of the industry is not seeing the growth that we see and this performance and the success. So we really stand alone, I believe in that. So I think that really says, you look at the things that we're doing here, the 6 critical questions, I mean, we're doing what we say we're gonna do, you know? And I think the financial performance reflects that. I mean, it's, you know, I used to have a great leader in my life used to say when we looked over my finances, he'd say, Rob, do what you say and say what you do, you know? Because we look at them and sometimes I wasn't hitting the target that I committed to, but we're doing it. So I think it's pretty awesome.
yeah, it's, we've really matured our processes and, great leadership team, so it's working out well.
Good job.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So the couple of things I wanted to say. First off, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the signs coming into campus today.
That was
I mean,
nice.
I'm not sure who did that, but I drove
Go
in
back.
my own car. I wasn't on the bus. And so I'm going, okay, which building do I go to? As I'm pulling in, and I go, wait, there's a sign, and there's an arrow, and there's another arrow, and there's another arrow. I mean, the timing, it was perfect. I'm like, that is so cool, because you guys read my mind. Because I'm like, I would have pulled into the first building to the left and been in the wrong place. So, and of course, I was just on time. So I wasn't late. I was just on time. But if I had not known the building, I would have been late. So thank you. And the facility looks wonderful. So, and I think last time I was here, I commented on the photographs. I love your photographs, but I love your flowers now. So, I mean, the landscaping. I mean, it was. I mean, I was very impressed the last time I was here, but I'm even more impressed this time. So, you guys are doing a really good job. So, you know, I really appreciate Chad and the team. So, I mean, you guys. It's really, I really enjoy supporting you guys and listening to the reports and learning about more the things that you guys are working on. I think we're doing a very good job. I don't know if there's no other questions. I mean, I thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity to support you on this. But there's that completes our report. There's no other comments.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it. I now call on Keith Honey.
Yeah.
Keith Honey,
Swan
Chair
song.
of the Facilities Committee.
The swan song?
Woo!
Maybe.
No,
You're not
no,
advocating.
this is not. Hotel California.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our committee met virtually last Tuesday. We had a good discussion and review of all the activities that are going on in the facilities area. We have 4 minute orders today and 3 reports, which Rick and Kevin will go through. Let me just also reference that you should have 2 handouts that go along with the reports today. And I think you're going to be really pleased with both reports. Of particular note today is we get the deferred maintenance and facilities update report, which Kevin will walk through. But I think you're really going to appreciate the work that's gone into it, and the information that's contained in it is invaluable, I think, in terms of us being aware and keeping up with where we are with our facilities and our ongoing maintenance needs and how we're addressing those. So great job by these guys and their teams. So with that, Rick, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. As customary, Kevin and I tag team this one. I'm going to cover my minute order and then move on over to the reports, and then Kevin will join you. We do have 1 minute order on facilities construction for a 1025C. Is to approve the budget and contracts greater than $1 million. What happened is in Fort Bend, we're doing the building construction expansion. We were going to do a job order contract in it, but those are limited to less than $1 million. Given the scope and the need, it exceeded the threshold, so we're asking for a formal minute order. This project is actually an extension of the new building. We're using the same contractor, same contract, we're just amending the contract to include the scope. So technically, it's under the other project, but in full transparency, we're bringing you a minute order for your approval. Any questions? From a report perspective, as Regent Honey pointed out, you do have a binder in front of you. The items on the left are your closed session items for real estate, and then the items on the right are the oral report. The first item on there with the yellow highlights, that's the master project reports. It's basically the financial aspect of our projects. And the other report behind it with the pretty pictures is the construction update that you receive every board meeting. Any questions on the reports?
Any of these keeping you up at night? They're all good.
Just as I said
Besides
last
all of
time,
them?
yeah. No, you know, and as I keep saying, we do have a great team and great support from my peers, and things are flowing. The one project that has a little ripple in it is our Waco project, but we're getting it back under control, and it will open on time and actually
That's the
under
big
budget.
building?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah, it got 53 days of rain
Yeah.
delays on it, yeah, so we're accelerating the schedule, and there's an expense to that. But the contractor's committed, and so far, the oversight shows that they will hit their target, so we will be opening on time.
And I drove by the Abilene project on my way here yesterday, and it attracts your attention. I mean, it's like those power poles are out front, and the building's beautiful. It is lovely.
And the letters on it, I tell you, those are impressive. I really love that we're able to do that for that facility. Any questions, comments? Thank you all.
All good. Thanks, Rick. Kevin?
All right, good morning. So we have 3-minute orders. These should be simple. The first one is, we have a lease agreement with DLP Heritage in Midlothian. We're extending the lease, 8 additional acres. That value is going to exceed the 500,000 threshold, so we need the board's approval for that. Questions, thoughts on that one? They're pretty straightforward. The next one, somewhat similar. We have a lease agreement with Level 5. Our contract folks identified that we do have a renewal term option for 3 additional years. So we want to get your approval to approve it for the 6-year terms, because that exceeds our 5-year limit that we have. So when we get to that time, we won't have to come back to the board. So that's the second one. And then the last one is an updated lease agreement with Neighbors in Needs of Service. That's in Harlingen. They run a Head Start program there. And we're asking for the board to approve a 1-year lease, and then we'll start negotiating with them for a longer term. So pretty straightforward, again, in this case as well. Thoughts? All right, now the fun part. So you guys do have the facility and deferred maintenance report. So our print shop team, again, does a great job with the material. So we'll look at some great information. So from last year, our total number of buildings increased based on some of the new buildings rolling in. So that increased our square footage as well. So now 250 buildings. Now this does exclude the Waco building. That'll have to be on next year's report. But, square footage at 4.2 million. You can see the acreage, 2,700 or plus 2,700. Now, a couple of columns that we did add is miles of roads and square feet of parking. So you can see that's pretty impressive, 31 miles of roadways and 7.2 million square feet of parking lot space.
Is that all paved and concrete parking
Or asphalt.
or asphalt?
Yes, sir. Some of it, some of
This is in the
concrete.
field out in somewhere. This is,
No,
this
this
is
is actual
maintained parking.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is a lot.
It is a lot. So the next we'll look at utilities. You can see an increase in electricity costs. And we kind of expected that with the new buildings coming online. We did see for natural gas an increase of usage, but our rate was lower, so that was a benefit. And then water, you see an increase as well. The next is a work order summary. We had a slight decrease from 23 to 24. One thing Terry and the team worked on there is now we're 100% paper-free. So they're using tablets and so we're minimizing some of those things, right? But also giving the guys opportunities to address things while they're out and about and not having to come back to our office and pick up a work order. And then one thing you heard Chad mention is leases. So you saw those two, but we want to just put this in this book because we help oversee those. So we have a total of 46 leases around the state. 46, and one additional, matter of fact, the DLP one we mentioned, that'll be the one in Ellis County, or the second one. It's one there now, it'll be another one. So, so again, you look at the square footage there that we're leasing out. A lot of this is at the Waco Airport. That's the biggest amount of lease space, but nonetheless, quite a few leases that we have. And you'll see the next few pages are the actual breakdown per each location. So feel free to take a look at it at your leisure. But the pictures are beautiful, as you can tell, yes. And now we'll jump into the deferred maintenance report, which is on page 11, or starts on page 11. So overall, our total spend for fiscal year 25 was 4.3 million. We had some areas like HVAC, and you'll see that as you take a look at respective campuses, you know, where we spend most of the funding. So significant funding there. We continue to see improvements, right? So the whole goal is to make sure that we minimize the impact to our students and staff at our campuses, and the team has been doing that. So we continue to see those numbers decrease as we put more efforts and more spend toward that. And now just take a look at the very last table, and you could see deferred maintenance started at 66. We spent 4.3. Terry and the team took the numbers and they removed some numbers off of our deferred maintenance. So some of the work that happened in Harlingen helped reduce some of the deferred maintenance costs that we have. So that dropped our number to 61 million. And so as we see new projects take shape, as we see new initiatives, we'll continue to see those numbers decrease. So again, the team is doing an excellent job of addressing major deferred maintenance. The one other you'll see too is, and it's pretty straightforward, but the bigger costs or the bigger spend is going to be in your older campuses. Waco, Harlingen, and Sweetwater is some of the older campuses. So you'll see the bigger numbers there.
And what is the funding source that the airport uses? Is there's a little note that
Highlight,
is,
yes. So we'll use FAA funding, yes, ma'am, or TxDOT. We get annual dollars from them to work on certain projects.
Good deal.
Yes, ma'am. As well as revenue that we generate from the leases we have, yes, ma'am. And then the rest of these will just be a breakdown per location. So again, very straightforward, but awesome report. And you guys can clearly see the amount of work that's being done at our respective campuses. Any thoughts, questions? I have a couple more nuggets I want to share with you guys. When you drove in, you might not have noticed it, but to your right, the very first building, Medco building, there was a sign there that said, "Future Home of TSTC Marshall PD." So Howard and his team are working on that for the Marshall campus. So hopefully in the spring, we will have our PD on site. He's been doing an excellent job partnering with the local agencies. So we feel very good that we'll have the support. But for the campus, they'll have actual police officers on site.
TSTC?
TSTC.
Employees?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Nice.
sir. So that's awesome. The next one I have is an initiative. Adam, if you would. So after our last board meeting, our leadership team met. And one thing with Marshall right now, you guys, if you've driven, it's not much in an activity or Rex activity for our students. Really none. So I did bring that to our leadership team, and I was approached by a group called the National Fitness Campaign, and they work with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we partnered to start our rec process or start the design of it by bringing in this fitness court. We received $85,000 grant toward that, and so this will be in Marshall, hopefully sometime in the near spring. Adam, if you go to the next one. But this rendering at the bottom is really where we want to get to. We eventually want to have the fitness court, which you see to the far left, maybe some pickleball courts, and then a basketball court. So the goal for Marshall and the students is to give them some activities. And again, I think that'll help Howard and his team not have to do have a lot of incidents. So, and hopefully when people see that, parents, students, it does, let them know that we're working toward their best interest. So the future for Marshall is bright.
Great.
That is my report.
Okay, Kevin, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just on the deferred maintenance, I know one of the things I noticed in the report was that the dollars available for deferred maintenance are going down a little bit this coming year. And I don't know how or if the endowment, obviously we don't get any money for that next year, but those dollars could potentially be used for deferred maintenance. And so I think it's the board's hope that we'll continue to emphasize deferred maintenance and continue to catch up on those items that need our attention, and possibly we can get some use out of the endowment to do that. So,
You're talking about it started in 27?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably not
you'll
next year.
recall that this time last year, we had a bit of a budget pinch because we guessed wrong on our tuition revenue.
Yeah.
And so we just tightened up across the board, including some deferred maintenance. We've
Yeah.
never intended that to be a permanent reduction.
Right.
So,
Okay, good.
yeah.
Good. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir.
Any other questions or comments? That's it, Mr.
Great
Chairman.
report.
Thank you. Concludes it.
We'll now call on Dr. Kathy Stewart, Chair of the General Administration Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The General Administration Working Group met virtually on this past Monday, November the 10th. And as always, this group had many things to discuss and update the Regents on. I'll just touch on a couple of updates that you'll not hear specifically today, and then I'll ask Claudia and Michael to do some presentations for us. Pamela Mayfield from HR shared that the TSTC workforce grew by 7.2% this year. With the new CCAP buildings coming online and our enrollment continuing to grow, this wasn't a big surprise, but it is proof that TSTC is growing. And the HR time is focused on supporting the growth in ways such as smarter hiring, healthier leadership, and faster operations. Dale Bundy in IT updated the committee on many projects that they're working on. The teams are continuing to advance modernization across the enterprise. They're partnering on life cycle management to ensure that our computers are refreshed in a timely manner, so we don't wait till they crash and then we replace them. Let's just plan ahead. Starting year 2 of multi-year technology refresh, they're upgrading cell boosters on several campuses, and they're in the first phases of campus surveys to assess where we may need to invest in infrastructure, which delves into our new endowment fund. So they're putting their plan out there too. And as you may have heard, speaking of, Proposition 1 passed. Yay! The GR team, that's led by Gail Lawrence, along with teammates across the college and advocates outside of the college, led the charge for getting this done, and they did an awesome job. We very much appreciate them, and I believe I speak for all the Regents when I say job well done. Yay! So now I'll ask Claudia to join us and present 2-minute orders to the board for consideration.
Thank you, Kathy. So today we have 2-minute orders. The first one being GA 0825C, This is our annual foundation operation plan. Every year in October, the foundation board reviews our operational plan for the year. Upon their approval, we bring it over to the TSTC Board of Regents to be able to approve that. That is also included, our operational plan is included in your binder. And so we seek for approval of our operation plan for 2026. I'm not sure if there's any questions. There being none, I will go ahead and speak to the next minute order. The second minute order is GA 0925C. This minute order is required as we have continued to grow our collaboration with Salesforce, and the original contract has exceeded 25%. While the institution has been looking at other platforms, part of our operation still utilizes Salesforce, and so we wanted to get that approved so we can make sure that we're in compliance. If there are no questions, if it's okay, I will go into my presentation. So, wait for Adam to put that up. There we go. So it's such an honor, and it's humbling for me to be able to just speak about all the great things that our team is doing, but I do want to actually recognize the external relations team. If they can please stand and be recognized. Most of our leadership team is here. We have a few that were not able to make it, but you know, when you think about the work that we do, they are truly the engineers. We have Sherry, Corey, Juan, Katie, Karen, Alana, Janae, and Sarah, and they are the magic behind it all, right? They're the engineers that are connecting every circuit, making sure that everything works without a hitch. So whenever you come in, you see everything perfectly. Well, that's the same way that it happens in the services that we provide. They are the magic behind that. They find ways to bring the blueprint that we're building to life in every one of their areas. And it's truly an honor for me to be able to just speak to the work that they do and just represent that, right? And they're the ones that make us look good. And so we couldn't do it without them. We talked and we joked yesterday about there being, what was it, raccoons and I don't know. Well, we don't have raccoons, but we have tons
That was
of
no joke.
That was no joke, but I have tons of squirrels, and they often make fun of the fact that my squirrels of thought are always running in 100 directions, and they have never failed to catch those squirrels and problem solve through them and bring them to a successful impact. So thank you, team, for everything you guys do and leading the way with me. You know, one of the things that, as I think back to how the external relations team kind of started, it was about 5 years ago that Gail took on the task to really build this new division for the institution. And in that work was there were some individuals that are in the room that are sitting right in front of me, Regent Honey, that talked about, but what do our industry partners say about us? How do we know what they think about the products and the services we're providing? So Gail took on that thought and that question and established a foundational survey of how can we gauge and understand the feedback from our employers. And that has truly been the foundation of how we operate. So a lot of the things that I will be speaking on today and representing to you, and you'll have an annual report that gets a lot more into the details, but it's actually the results of every year that we've been performing this survey to our employers. We've continued to expand it, we've continued to grow it as we are able to make sure that we're maturing our processes and our data collection and being able to increase our impact through strategy. So the external relations was established, and we have some primary focuses on what we are trying to move the needle for the institution. And one of that is to make sure that we are the driving force for economic development. As our chancellor has often shared, we are the only higher ed institution that has economic development in their mission, right? And in Chapter 135, we see that throughout our calling of what we're established to do. And external relations approaches that through identifying strategic partnerships, making sure that we're being proactive and not reactive, that we truly are the go-to person for technical education for the state of Texas, and sometimes beyond, right? And so our impact is starting to have that broader impact, even impacting outside of Texas, because there's employers that are in Texas that are saying, how can you give me the same level of service that can impact me nationwide. And so we've been able to do some of those collaborations. And the primary focus, as we talked about in our why, is growth and prosperity, right? And that growth and prosperity is not just for TSTC, it's for every single component that is part of our ecosystem, from our students to our community to the state of Texas and employers, right? And so that is really what drives us in everything that we do. How can we make sure that we're driving impact? How are we driving the economic of Texas? And so we look at it from a strategic partnership. If y'all recall, a few years ago, I introduced the 4 primary pillars of how we weigh our impact, how we engage with industry partners. So we look at them as a hiring and employability partner. How can we make sure that we're providing them the right talent, that they're hiring our students? But then we also look at that relationship from a holistic lens of trying to say, how can we make sure that we continue to meet your needs through being able to provide training and being able to create pipelines for them? How can we collaborate with industry to be able to identify supplemental funding sources and through a philanthropic lens? And then through advocacy and advisement. And so we engage with industry and several stakeholders through each one of these pillars, and we try to strengthen that and be able to utilize that to drive forward our impact. The first pillar being hiring and employability. One of the primary things that we do, and through our career services that Alana leads, we try to be able to make sure that we look at it from a talent management, connecting our students to the jobs, but also connecting the employers to the talent pool. And so we've been able to look at creating some very unique collaborations to be able to make sure that we're creating robust opportunities, kind of like a scout. How can we make sure exactly what our employer is needing so we can make sure that we're preparing the students for that? And then how can we prepare our students to be able to go and meet those needs? So it's a very unique collaboration of having that subject matter expertise for each one of the unique individuals that we serve in that. And so for this last year, we were able to see that our team was able to achieve a 93% placement for our students 180 days after they leave with us. They were able to help increase the wages, and we continue to find ways, creative ways, based on their feedback from employers, how we can be able to continue to move the needle on that. We were able to host multiple job fairs across the state, serving over 4,300 students, and having over 800 industry partners present across the state. Some of them follow us around the state. They will make sure that they go to every single, because we truly are a placement service for them. One of the things that we've also done is we've revamped our money back guarantee. We truly know that this is one of our signature, compellingly different strategies. And so we've been able to revamp that by making sure we expanded to more programs, as well as making sure that the quality and the services that we're providing through some of these platforms are relevant, right? We always are looking for that continuous improvement to make sure that the relevance is meeting today's needs, not just what was needed yesterday. So as we continue to look forward to what we're going to be working on within this next fiscal year and the next following fiscal years, is we're looking at being able to make sure we build that lifelong partnership with them, being able to bring it from awareness prior to them coming to TSTC, and then being able to provide them those pathways to be able to come into some pre-college programs, dual credit programs, and then transitioning to credentialing, licensures, and our degree programs, and then continuing the cycle all over again. And so as a training partner, we have 3 main areas where we primarily focus in engaging with partners, and that is our accelerated training program that Sherry oversees, our professional academies that Eddie oversees, and our college pathways and enrichment that Katie oversees. And it's really building, if we've heard the saying before, cradle to grave. For us, it's like cradle to retirement and then some, right? How can you come back around and continue to engage? And so we try to be able to increase our opportunities to be able to make sure that we are able to collaborate with all of our stakeholders at every phase of life, right? And so through our dual credit partnerships, we were able to serve over 3,300 students across 72 ISD partnerships, bringing in and increasing revenue. We are a cost center, a profit center that we monitor. And so everything that we do, we try to make sure that we're in a profitable state. And so we constantly look at that. Our Challenger Learning Center, being able to engage and being able to bring that awareness to industry, to the technical industries. What you'll see here is a enrollment report based off of our dual credit enrollment. one of the things that our chancellor has often challenged us is not just to offer a service, but to offer a relevant service and mature the services that we offer. So you'll see, I'll try to a laser, maybe not, there it is. Right here, you'll see well, you can see it on the screen, between 2017 and 2018, you'll see a slight decline. And so back in 2017 or so, we said, everybody offers dual credit. Everybody offers your comp, everybody offers your math, but what is truly needed and missing in this cluster? And it was technical pathways, being able to give a more robust service to be able to make sure that we're connecting students, because guess what? After high school, life happens for many of them, and we wanted them to be able to walk out with something that was tangible that could get them into a very entry-level position. So we took a hit because we transitioned from being able to be a community college, and I'm using air quotes for that, to truly being a technical partner. But as you can see, the pandemic then hit, and we are almost back up to where we were when we were considered more of a community college, and we continue to explore creative ways that we're going to be able to impact and make sure that we're connecting students at every phase of life to the job.
Well, I'd like to point out, if I could right there, there's a number of community colleges in Texas, and remember, there's 50 altogether. But there's a sizable number of them for whom dual credit is actually more than half the headcount enrollment that attend that college. That if it weren't for dual credit, their on-campus offerings would struggle to survive with their on-campus offerings. So it was in the midst of a time when community colleges are attacking this market that we made this strategic shift and now have come back out of the ground, if you will, in a place that is uniquely ours. You aren't going to find a whole lot of community colleges that are doing the sort of stuff that we can do. There's just not the capability out there. So it wouldn't be unreasonable to think of this continuing to grow because of the unique place, the role we play.
If I can add an exclamation to that, Chancellor, you know, I started off referencing the employer survey. Some of the feedback that we've gotten in previous years about what they're looking for is how can we have pre-apprenticeship models? How can we have, and so our dual credit is established or structured similar to a pre-apprenticeship where they're not getting one course. They're getting a group of courses that's going to prepare them for the job. And so all of these strategies have come as a result of what we've been hearing from employers. And so for us, it's how can we continue to collaborate to be able to bring impact through these partnerships. Our accelerated training solutions and our professional academies, these are our two training arms from short open enrollment training to licensures, right? And so we have been able to impact within accelerated training about 1,500 students per year. And under our professional academies, close to 500 students per year. That is 500 licensures that we're putting out into industry, and as well as being able to make sure that we are tracking credentials, right? Being able to make sure that we're providing them multiple opportunities of how they can be able to begin their career. As I mentioned, we are a profit center, so we were able to bring in, we track in revenue as well as expenditures very closely to make sure that we have a continuous impact in making sure that we're profitable in how we deliver our services. This next graphic, I think, speaks a little bit to kind of what we talked about also with our dual credit. That's not something that we do solely for dual credit. We do it through every single program. So here, the blue line, you will see enrollment for non-credit offerings or short-term training opportunities over the last few years. And then the red line is how many training hours each one of those individuals was taking. When back in the day, we were operating at slightly more closer to what a community college was doing. We had a lot of students, but they were taking very small courses. They would take your OSHAs and they would take your CPRs, and that was about it. The robustness that has come into the offerings that we do in non-credit, they're full-blown credentials. We have individuals that are coming in with, I call them zero to heroes. They come in with no experience and they're walking out with very good paying jobs. this legislative session, thanks to the GR team as well, we are now included in the funding formula. We were able to bring in over $8 million for this biennium of just off of the wages that our non-credit students are earning. So it talks about the robustness of the courses. We just are providing them in a more accelerated, faster to work options. And so we'll continue to see, so as you see, of course, the pandemic really did make us take a hit on that. But you'll see less students that we're serving, but they're taking more robust training. So they're taking 8 weeks of training in a boot camp style, getting 8 national certifications for smart manufacturing. We're partnering with Tesla, being their trainer of choice for individuals that are going to go work, and they bring them from zero training to being able to make sure that they're working at their facilities. And so that is people often talk about non-credit and they talk about cake decorating and floral arrangements. We don't do that. We solely focus on technical education.
Are you okay with that, Ron Rohrabacher?
So again, looking ahead, one of the things that you're going to start hearing more and more of how we're approaching that lifelong learning. We've talked about our career services and our training opportunities, but after they leave TSTC, we want to continue to come alongside them. How can we help them grow within their career? So being able to provide upskilling opportunities where we are able to follow them past the 5 years and just continue to see the impact on their wages, see their impact on their career growth and the trajectory, and truly coming alongside them for impact. Our funding and philanthropic partnerships with industry. How have we been able to collectively work with them to be able to have a significant impact in funding? It's through our grants team and our TSTC Foundation. Karen is our new president for the TSTC Foundation, and she has hit the ground running because my squirrel said, "Ooh, I have like 20 plans, let's go execute," right? And so this year, our TSTC Foundation were able to raise over $6 million for our institution. That's for scholarships as well as for infrastructure, that is for supplemental funding. We awarded $3.3 million of scholarships to over 2,200 students. That is significant impact. We haven't seen that in I want to say for a while, of being able to see that impact from the TSTC Foundation. Our grants team, led by Juan Garza, they were able to secure over 31 awards, bringing in over $20 million worth of grant funds that can offset and supplement the work that TSTC is doing. We still have many that are in the pipeline that are waiting to be awarded, and we continue to see that impact. This year was actually even more challenging than others with federal administration changes and some changes to funding that was available. But our team was so strategic to be able to make sure that they pivoted and they were able to have a successful year. Again, one of the things that we focus on is how can we continue to diversify our funding sources as well as our partnerships. One of the things that we've already started talking about, we have an amazing opportunity with this new endowment. How can we go and match it, right? How can we find individuals and strategies that will help us match the impact that we've been able to receive? And our advocacy and advisement partnerships. We have a brand new department that we were able to establish. Corey Bowen helps us lead that team. It's our industry relations. As we talked about recruitment, we have student recruitment and community recruitment, but we really didn't have a strategy for corporate recruitment. And so we've been able to build a team that's gonna go help us not only nurture current existing partnerships, but identify new opportunities for the college to be able to continue to grow and engage. And then our advisory committees, that's a partnership with our operations team that we co-lead, and being able to make sure that the people that are at the table speaking to our curriculum are the right individuals, that are the ones that are going to help us be compellingly different in our training to be able to be impactful. As I mentioned, our industry relations team, it's a brand new department that we just launched this last year. We have representation in some of our key locations, and we're going to continue to grow. I'm big on piloting, so we're piloting these efforts. And as we are able to scale and look at different phases, we're going to continue to see the growth and impact in those areas. For us, one of our primary focuses is how can we continue to be a connector for industry? How can we literally walk hand in hand to be able to understand the needs that are out there and be able to create, again, our mission for ERD is creating creative solutions. That's a play on words there, but to being able to have impactful solutions and be that thought partner for industry in Texas. Here are our areas of focus for these next couple of fiscal years. Again, primarily focusing on how can we provide that continuum of services and truly engage with industry in a very more robust manner. And so I think for us, we can't do that without our operations team. We have been able to build a shared business service and a strategy team that can come alongside the division and really help us be able to move things across the finish line. Several of you mentioned about all the touches and the details from yesterday's dinner to the meetings today. That's a part of our events team that is within our ERD operations. They really help focus on putting the brand of TSTC at a very high level. We were able to make sure we hosted you guys were able to participate in one of our graduations this last summer as well. That is something that our events team also helps with, as well as we support throughout the division. Being able to provide professional development for our team. Being intentional on how we do that. We have a very robust operation and we're constantly changing and growing. And so how can the way that we're training Texas industry, we can also train our personnel. And so we've been doing some very intentional work in that regard within this department. And now for this year's results, Mr. Honey. As I talked about the survey, this has truly been a new way of being able to make sure that, as I mentioned, when Gail first put this on, it really became embedded into how we operate in this division. How can we use that? It's not just something, it's not a checkbox. We don't just check it off, put it in a file somewhere. We truly utilize it to build strategy, to build tactics, to be able to make sure that we have our next steps. And so I will focus, you do have it in your annual report and we can provide more details, but we try to summarize it as best as we can. The main things that we wanted to kind of gauge from our industry partners is, are they satisfied with our graduates? Are they satisfied with the quality of talent that we're putting out into industry? And as you can see, 60% and 30% believe that TSTC students are better or the same than others. And so, challenge accepted, we're going to move those percentages a lot higher. Nobody said that we were worse. So I think that is the silver lining on this, right? So everybody really believed, all of our industry partners believe that the quality of students that we're putting out are very impactful. That we do, just as well as like we like to hear the goods, I personally like to hear the not so good, because that is where we really thrive in being able to make sure we're improving our services. They talked about how can we be able to make sure that they have better soft skills. That's great, because guess what? Our Hire 1100 has already taken that into consideration, and we're institutionalizing that for our money-back guarantee. Interestingly enough, we got a $5 million grant from Texas Workforce Commission solely for soft skills training. And so we're already working on being able to make sure that we infuse that. Well, our primary focus is how can we get the word out there more, right? And so being able to make sure that students are able to look at training opportunities, workplace adjustments, how they integrate into the real world. And so all of these feedback from our industry partners we take into account to be able to make sure that we infuse it into how we operate on a regular basis. And then looking at it from a training and pipeline development, right? That we wanted to make sure how aware are they of now their services for them and their incumbents, right? To be able to continue that training opportunity. And so many of them were satisfied because they were already partnering with us. But then also the other key takeaways is how can we make sure, where would you like to engage with TSTC more? And so this is truly our next steps, action items of how we're going to be able to continue to engage with them. Not only are we going to improve their satisfaction with the products and the services that we're providing, but it's also being able to be responsive to where they want to lean in with us, right? And so this is some of the work that our industry relations team, now that we have that corporate recruitment arm, are really going to dedicate their time and efforts to being able to make sure that, that we're able to meet the needs. You know, the key question that Regent Honey had was, how do we know that what they think about us? And that's a great question. But then it's also listening to what they think about us, right? And as we're starting to address that and change that, I think that this quote from Representative Lambert really captures it when it says TSTC listens, right? We don't only listen, then we act on that. Because at the end of the day, our primary focus is to be a driving force for economic development. And with that, I conclude.
Excellent. Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.
And now we'll ask Michael to present an annual update on integrated marketing.
Okay, thank you. Which camera are?
Yeah, you.
Okay, that one. I didn't want to be on my back to the camera. I wasn't sure. Okay. All right. Okay, great. I think I'm the thing standing in between lunch.
Yeah,
So let
probably.
me start a timer here and we'll get going here to keep me mindful of that. Good afternoon. Great pleasure today of sharing the annual integrated marketing division update. This represents a large group of individuals across the state, across multiple divisions. They're effectively divided between three core groups. One is our enrollment team on the left, which comprises everything from the registrar, federal financial aid services, the actual admissions advisors and enrollment coaches. Over on the right, our creative services, our communications, our visual teams, our digital teams, experience and sales, which are new divisions that we're building at the moment on customer experience and sales strategy. And then in our middle, which is the leadership, the analytics, our innovation, C4EO, skills engine, et cetera. So the overall point of that is that when we say the term marketing, it often means different things to different people. And we've chosen the label integrated marketing to express this larger encompassing approach. The general theme is to have a cohesive customer experience so that we break across silos. So these folks are integrally involved with every division of the college on a daily basis. So what you see today is not an expression of the integrated marketing team, but it's cross-divisional across the college. Enrollment trends. This is our main, the numbers. The numbers. Here's how we look, and there are some exciting numbers to share. You heard earlier about some of them, but this is a trend comparing the benchmark of how is TSTC doing compared to the general two-year college sector in the state. And we're doing quite well, is the short run of that. You see the COVID decline in fall of 20, and it really was devastating to the two-year sector. TSTC, however, has quickly recovered, and over the last 5 years, we've had a 33% growth in the college. This is a stark contrast to the Texas Community College enrollment number, which is 3.2% down still. Still struggling to recover from that. As Chancellor Reeser pointed out, a large percentage of the enrollment of community colleges is dual enrollment. This is the full-time enrollment number comparison, alpha to alpha. And this fall 26 coming up is going to have the largest number of high school graduates in the country for the rest of our foreseeable future.
Oh, how fascinating.
We have a demographic cliff that in fall 27, as much as a 7-8% decline in high school graduation numbers on average nationally is going to rock the higher education sector. Texas is flat for the most part for the foreseeable future with slight bobbles because of people moving to the state. But birth rates of 1.6 are having this long-term effect. And this two-year sector in particular, in the 10 years looking forward, is going to have a rough time.
So why a 7% drop? That's interesting.
Birth rates.
Just strictly birth rate? That's just
Yeah.
it?
Birth rates. We have to maintain.
Birth rates 18 years ago.
18 years ago. Yeah.
Starting in this.
Is that how that works?
Starting in the 70s.
So that was the Great Recession. And you remember the kind of the funk we were in and the notion, the sense of doom and that sort of thing. So it was a
And the trend started in the 70s, where birth rate has been declining. We have to maintain at least a 2.1, more than 2% birth rate.
Yeah.
And we're at 1.6. This is happening globally. Globally.
Need to bring back toga parties.
Yeah, right? So, let me bring it back. So serious. Okay, do I get a chess clock though for the?
Yeah.
Right, no, sorry. This fall, we had a 9% increase in enrollment at TSTC. I show this chart because we're looking at the patterns, and you'll notice a different pattern in the gray year. This is when we used to do deregistration, very higher ed. You owe $5, dereg, must re-register. And we stopped doing that in 24, and you see that we actually retain most of those students that otherwise we would have lost.
Yeah.
So we've made some tweaks and changes to the processes that are compellingly unique compared to the rest of higher ed, which takes a more DMV kind of mindset. Yeah, true. The returning students are up 12%. That's the compounding growth that we're starting to see. We're retaining more students, so we're seeing this compounding effect. We're kind of like a hospital when it comes to customer retention, you know. There's only two ways out of the hospital that you retain your customers. You either you get better or you die. So our students graduate or they drop out. It's kind of an equivalent. So customer retention for us is like we're constantly chasing that. So that makes new student growth very important. This week, the National Student Clearinghouse comes out with new numbers. It's always right before this meeting, and they just came out this week. So to give this 9% number some more contrast, nationally, higher education grew this fall at 2.4%. Community colleges nationally grew at 4%. Texas community colleges grew at 6%. So said another way, TSTC had 3 times more growth this fall than all of higher ed nationally. We grow two times more growth than the community colleges nationally, and 50% more growth than Texas community colleges. We're not riding a wave. We are sailing. Yeah.
Awesome.
New student growth continues to set new records. We're up 64% in new students. This is the fall number, which is our main growth period. So a really strong trajectory. Last year we had around 15 programs, I think, that filled in the fall. If anybody thinks Prop 1 is not necessary, this says it all. 45 programs filled this past fall to the brim. And this campus is operating welding from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night. We are stretching our capacities around the state. Provost's doing a miraculous job of finding more sections, and HR in hiring a massive number of faculty.
So to put a fine point on that, what he said to you is, we turned away qualified students because we didn't have room to serve them.
More than 1,000.
That's
Wow.
Yeah, so we're working really excitedly with accelerated training with Sherry on how do we take those students that maybe we don't have a seat on that airplane, maybe we can find an alternate airplane using short-term Pell, using other kinds of funding in the One Big Beautiful Bill so that we can have more buffer. We have much more demand on both the consumer side and we have much more demand on the employer side. And so Prop 1 is the answer, it really is. This is looking at the main number that matters the most. All of those are the lead indicators to the ultimate lag indicator, which is placements and earnings. Inflation-adjusted wages, our students are earning 27% more than they were 10 years ago. Inflation-adjusted. Very important for that. And then the found working, the percentage of students that we are finding in the unemployment insurance wage record system. This isn't total placements. This is just how many we can absolutely find in Texas is up 40%. 40%. Our enrollment's not up that much, but at placement, we're placing more retention, more throughput. And then if we take all of the earnings of a cohort and combine them into a whole number, an integer, that number, the impact on the state of Texas, is up 80%. 80% more salaries are being generated than we were generating 10 years ago. which the economic impact of a single cohort to the state of Texas over the lifetime of that cohort is more than $1 billion. So when we think about our approaching $300 million appropriation, the actual return to the state is a magnitudes of order larger than we actually have for that one period. So this is how those things stack up in terms of revenue. Our tuition is up 22% over that period. And we also have our funding formula. So over the last 10 years, tuition is up 132%. This fiscal year, fall 25, tuition is up 22%. We didn't increase tuition, by the way. We're frozen by the governor currently. Right? So we still had a 22% increase in frontline revenue. And then the appropriation, which trails our enrollment by up to 7 years, all of that growth that we've been having the last 7 years, we see the funding formula paying us our commission. So given the amount of growth that we can have, we can extrapolate out, assuming that the funding process stays true and doesn't get caught into a political moment, that green line will continue. It's like an annuity that's guaranteed to pay. We are very healthy, very strong. Growing this, the saying goes, what is it? You can grow fast, you can grow with quality, or you can do it with time. Something like, isn't it like that?
Fast, quick, cheap.
Fast, quick, cheap. Thank you. Something like that.
I'm sorry.
Fast, cheap, good.
Fast, cheap, good. Okay. Well, we're growing pretty fast. You can only pick two. This chart says we're getting all three. Because this is what our students think about the quality of the education that they're getting. The quality of our faculty, of our online material, of the experience with enrollment. So growing this fast, one of the things we have to really be careful of is that we don't let quality slip. So we are constantly listening to the voice of the student and the voice of the employer and keeping an eye on quality. It's actually our biggest threat as we experience all of this growth, is that we somehow let something slip on our quality. And so we're very mindful of that because our credibility in the labor market with employers, it's fickle. If we graduate somebody that doesn't have the right skill set, that's damage to our reputation. So our focus on our quality is really keen. That goes to facilities as well. All of the deferred maintenance as we grow. We have got in the Prop 1, again, right on time to help pave the way, pun intended. Looking at the campuses, this is looking at campus growth, change in growth between 24 and 25. I want to put on Breckenridge. Don't be alarmed. What happened in Breckenridge is this summer, we started a welding program at enrollment. We took in students in the summer, and it filled so much, it limited the amount of students we could take in this fall. So we kind of got our growth, So there's a little bit of an anomaly on the Breckenridge chart today. Sweetwater, which has had a long amount of struggle over the last few years, has started to turn around. The investments into the West Texas operation are starting to bear fruit, and the addition of new programs to that campus, we are hopeful, management is hopeful in the future of that campus looking ahead. But the growth in New Braunfels, the growth in Brownwood, wow, see, Brownwood has really had a resurgence over the past several years. The numbers here are quite different. When Waco has 9%, that's big. When Harlingen has its 6%. And we're really hopeful for Harlingen's growth as well. New products are the key. Increasing our capacity of existing products, great. But where we can have new products that we can reach new people, that the customer acquisition cost can be lower. Trying to get 101 people in a program, it's more expensive incrementally the more we go. So having new programs has a lower customer acquisition cost. So this is a really good thing.
Let me comment on Harlingen, just to make sure everybody remembers. 10 years ago, Harlingen had a product mix that looked like a community college. The technical offerings down in Harlingen were a small amount of the enrollment. And generally, gen ed and other academic programs dominated the enrollment down there. And you'll recall, Keith, you'll remember, we went on an intentional evolution and we called it Back to Our Roots, Back to Our Purpose of being a technical school. We tried not to do it all at once because we didn't want to hurt the students that were in those programs, and we knew that it would take sustained investment to replenish the technical capabilities down there. So Harlingen has always, despite the enormity of Harlingen from a headcount standpoint, it's trailed because of the intentional taper that we have done back toward technical, just so everybody knows.
This is looking at our product mix and how the total number served has changed over time. It's a new view that we're looking at here, and it had an interesting pattern. You see that healthcare, a sector we don't talk much about, actually over this time period had a significant amount of growth. This is the pre-allied health program moving online, so its ability to serve more people and not be gated by the physical nature. Also chemical dependency and some other program areas here kind of caught us by surprise a bit. So obviously there's a strong workforce demand in healthcare. Where we want to focus on that with our strategy is on the not commonly served. And so there's opportunity and there's demand in healthcare. We're going to be moving from that allied health naming nomenclature to the healthcare sector nomenclature to kind of really focus our thinking. But power and construction, transportation, manufacturing, huge growth happening here. And the intentional divestment in our academics over time. This is commonly offered. And community colleges are filling that with no tuition offerings, very red ocean. So we will continue to have strong academics at the college. It's critically important for our associate's degrees in particular. But as far as degrees in the academics, that has seen this intentional kind of divestment. Okay, looking ahead. How are we doing so much growth? I'm here to talk a little bit about and give a demo. A little bit about some of the things that are enabling us to do more with less is Trey Pearson. Trey
That's okay.
Pearson.
I gave you fast, quick, and good. So
Thank you.
I messed up.
Trey is the Senior Director of Enrollment.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Like Michael said, my name is Trey Pearson. I'm the Senior Director of Enrollment. And I was going to talk to you a little bit about our use of AI today, and I apologize. I'm getting a phone call. I'm going to need to answer. 1 second. Hello?
Hi, Trey. This is CyberTech, the virtual assistant from Texas State Technical College. Just so you know, this call is being recorded. I'm reaching out because you requested information about our cybersecurity program for your nephew, Keller. It's now a good time to talk about his options, like online versus campus, and how I can help you both get started.
Well, I'm actually at our TSCC Board of Regents meeting. Would you mind saying hello to everybody?
Of course. Hello, everyone, at the TSTC Board of Regents meeting. I'm CyberTech, the virtual assistant for Texas State Technical College, and I'm here to help.
Thank you for doing that. I was actually calling to see if I could schedule an appointment and get a little bit of information for my nephew Keller. He's interested in the cyber program. What campuses is that offered at?
Absolutely, Trey. The cybersecurity program is offered both fully online and at several of our campuses, including the Houston location. Since Keller lives in the Houston area, he could choose to study online or attend classes on campus there. Would you like details about the program itself?
No,
Or can we go ahead and look at...
I think we're good on that. I'd like to see if I could schedule a tour for next week in the afternoon as early as possible. Can you help me with that?
Let me check the available times for a Houston campus tour next week in the afternoon. Thank you for your patience. Would you prefer a specific day, or should I look for the earliest afternoon slot available?
Earliest afternoon spot would be great, and if you could text me the details of that, that would be fantastic. I'm short on time.
Okay, I'll look for the earliest available afternoon campus tour at our Houston area location, which is called the Fort Bend campus. Once I find the best time, I'll text you the details. Please hold on just a moment while I confirm the next available slot.
She's better than most live people you talk to.
Oh, yeah.
still looking for the earliest afternoon tour slot for you.
That's okay. Just text me the details when you're done, and if you could set a follow-up, maybe to call me later this afternoon while I'm on the road, that would be great.
Thanks, Trey. I'll text you the details for the earliest afternoon tour at the Fort Bend campus, which is the Houston area location. I'll also set a reminder to call you later this afternoon for a follow-up. Is there a specific time after 12 p.m. that works best for you?
Nope, anytime after 12, and thank you very much.
You're welcome, Trey. I've set you up for the earliest afternoon tour at the Fort Bend campus, Monday, November 17th at 1 p.m. You'll get a text with the registration link, and I'll give you a call for a follow-up after 12 this afternoon. Is there anything else you need before I let you go?
No, ma'am, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, Trey. Thank you for your time and have a great day at your meeting. I'll follow up with you this afternoon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Wow.
There you go. If any of you felt me just vibrating with nervousness quietly in the back leading up to this, live demos are always challenging, so thank you for playing along with that. That is an example of what we're currently developing. As you heard, there's a little bit of lag. This is really kind of showcases where AI is at today, and how we're developing it, how it's being developed, and our partnership with one of our vendors, Element 451, which we'll talk about here for just a minute or two. And what we're doing to increase our customer service and experience and our staff experience. We specifically chose to implement Element 451 in February of 2024 based on its forward leaning into AI solutions. Whether that was helping us write an email better, schedule an appointment, or knowing their product line and seeing where they were going with it. We wanted to get into a partnership with someone that was forward-leaning in that and that we could see ourselves with for the next couple of years and would offer us solutions to grow like Michael's been talking about. To give you a couple quick stats on what we currently have out. That is a prototype we're working with our cybersecurity program. They came to us and they said, hey, we want to grow. We have limited resources, but we're really wanting to lean into this. So we're working with them on that. That's something that we hope we're going to be able to deploy widely in the coming year. But we're still prototyping it because, as you can see, it's a little laggy. It can do a few things. And one thing in the marketing division and admissions and enrollment that we protect dearly is the customer experience. So until we're 100% sure that it can accomplish what we need it to, we won't roll it out wide, but we're piloting it. What we currently have in our AI solutions is a chatbot on our website that is available 24/7 for anybody to go in, ask questions, get information from. And we have a discovery tool that can help students get more impactful information as they do a little bit deeper of a dive. It gives them prompts, it kind of looks at what they're asking, and we feed all this into a knowledge base so that they get the correct information. If you look at some of the highlights up here, over the last 12 months, this last calendar year, from November 1st, 2024 to when we pulled this in 2025, we've had over 31,000 conversations on those two areas on the website. And the interesting part is we've had almost a third of those that were happening after hours. So what that represents is normally someone going on the website looking for information, maybe has a question they want to ask. We weren't available. It was after hours. So we're increasing our student experience by allowing them to get that information when they need it. And to really kind of pivot, what that has saved our staff, because again, we're going to increase our student experience, we're going to protect that, but it's about looking after our staff members as well, our teammates, and making sure that they get better service and they have better tools to do the things that they need to. What we will not be able to replace with AI is the true human moments that we need to be able to spend with students and talk about their career goals, what challenges they have, where do they see themselves. So if we can take the burden of some of these things that can be answered quickly through AI solutions and empower our admissions and enrollment coaches and customer service reps to be in front of a person to have that impactful conversation, that's really what we're shooting for. So over that course of the year, we've saved over 1,100 hours of staff time answering the same questions. When does registration start? How do I file my financial aid? Where is the student accounting office? All these things that used to be a telephone call or an email that somebody had to answer, we've been able to save that. And that's amounted to about 29 weeks of staff time saved just in this calendar year. So we're very proud of that. Our sentiment is good. We're going to continue to monitor that and make sure that our knowledge base is solid on that. But we have seen great impact off of that so far.
Oh, great, you can do that. The ratio, yeah.
The ratio is great. So what we were able to look at is our organizational structure. And in 2023, one admissions advisor was able to equate to 42 enrolled students, where in 2025, we're at 101. So we have more than doubled our staff's productivity, their time that they're spending with students face to face. And I think that is one of the many things that has enabled us to grow in enrollment and really have a quality service.
Okay, thank you, Trey.
Yep.
Advertising and branding. So, 2 more bits and then we're going to lunch. Briefly, this is a little bit about our advertising mix. Due to the financial gains that we've had as a college, we have been able to realize a greater investment in our advertising spend, in our branding, in our marketing. You've been seeing TSTC more on your television and hearing more and seeing it more. And so that shift has really now enabled us to change our media mix so that awareness is at the top. Awareness. And you'll see more growth in our branding and in our messaging and more cohesion along with our foundation president, accelerated training doula. Across our different streams of business, we are going to have much more opportunity to spread awareness than we've ever had before. This is an example of some of the greatness of that creative services team we just wanted to highlight, and these are the awards. These are highly competitive awards, sometimes even against industry. And in Addies alone, we had 10 Addies that were won across a number of categories. 5 Tellys, these are like the beautiful trophies, they're in the 3rd floor, about our video work mainly. And this is our creative services team here that makes that happen. Telling our story. Have you ever heard that we're the best kept secret? You know, the best kept secret, nobody knows about us. This group is ensuring that we are not the best kept secret. But I have a surprise. We actually are the best we're the best known 2-year college in the state of Texas, it turns out. We hired a third party to do a branding study, and TSTC had 37% recognition. And this was a large number of samples across the state in multiple regions. And even like a University of Phoenix or a DeVry, we're right up there at 37%. We have more awareness than WGU. And you consider their ad budget. This is 60 years of graduating great people. This is employers and our legacy coming back. Oh, I know TSTC. So this will be a benchmark we'll use over time to track our branding and awareness. It's difficult to measure that. Part of that branding and awareness, our 60th anniversary. The 50th was TSTC's opening to the state. Here we are. And it was magical. The 60th was about going inward and celebrating our family. And so each provost hosted their own events. And this is Valerie Smith, Caitlin Simmons, who led these efforts, and our external relations division and marketing together. Class of '82, Regent Chair Widdop. Yes. Fantastic speech. And this will continue to capture so many of the stories that we have to tell that really are emblematic of what we're all about at TSTC. Given this week is Veterans Day, earlier this week, we thought it fitting to point out our Veterans Division. 15% growth this fall in military-affiliated enrollment. That includes veterans, active duty, and dependents, our family members. And some really nice retooling and growth that's happening here. And so many great stories, one of which we'd like to share with you now.
When I was in Syria, we were out there with the Green Berets. And I just remember laying in bed at 2 a.m. and hearing them in firefights. And I was like, dang, I wish I was out there with them. Was going down a hill with about 8,500 pounds on my back, and something splintered out of the ball joint on my hip, and it's kind of tore my labrum. The hardest part of redirecting my career after the injury into the military was I had no idea. Like, there was no thought there was no other plan. My main motivators now is, now that I got my hip surgery, I'm gonna be healthy again. And I wanna have a career where I can just work with my hands and mind my own business. And as an instrumentation technician, we're a crucial part of that process in helping and maintaining industrial society. You know, being we are an industrial society, like, do feel a purpose and a mission. I spent my 20s trying to avoid an office job. And instrumentation is gonna allow me to pursue a career of that sort.
Leonard's story, he was a marine engineer and clearing obstacles, setting up forward operating bases in Syria in 2017. He was not attached to an ODA, a special forces unit, but he heard them going out. And that inspired him to come back and go through MARSOC. MARSOC is a very rigorous selection process, and injuries are a very common thing that happen, unfortunately, in some of these advanced training. So Leonard's injury took him completely off of his dedication and his path, and he found TSTC. That TSTC is not for everyone, but it is for more kinds of, TSTC is for more people than probably any other higher education institution, you know? We have a large percentage that already have bachelor's degrees. We have people that maybe they didn't do well, gosh, come on, in high school or something like that. Or they had a plan and they got derailed. And so while we're not for everyone, we're for more than any other place that I think exists out there. So with that, thank you.
Does the board have any other questions or comments for the group? Thank you all for your presentations. They were excellent. And that concludes our report for the general administrative group.
Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, excellent reports and well put together, so appreciate that. All right, well, that concludes our committee section of the agenda. And so now we're about to recess the open meeting. The open meeting of the TSTC Board of Regents on Thursday, November 13th, 2025, after proper posting and for the specific purposes provided in the Texas Open Meeting Act, including those in Subchapter D, will recess, and the closed meeting will begin shortly. The Regents, are we still going to move to room 524?
We're gonna stay here.
We're going to stay here. Okay.
But yeah, could we take a break before we do that?
We can, yeah. But I had to finish this, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll take a break after I'm done.
Yes.
Hurry up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, hurry up.
No rush.
Yeah.
The Regents will stay
I'll tackle him.
here. No, so we'll stay here. When the closed meeting is adjourned, the board will reconvene in here. Current time is 1:05 p.m. So the public may please retire now. Thank you.